Nomad Capitalist just wrapped up our best month ever. And I want to tell you why I think that is, what people are telling me, and how you can apply it to your situation. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson. You can learn more about all the stuff we do at nomadcapitalist.com. And in this video, I want to talk about how even in the face of one of the worst economies this century, one of the worst economic dips, some of the biggest chaos that a lot of us have seen in our lifetimes, people locked down all around the world and people questioning if their countries that they thought were free are actually free countries, how we came and we actually thrived through that. I don't want to make this about me or our Nomad Capitalist team. I want to make it about you. But what's interesting is I'm looking out here in Malaysia. I'm looking at and talking to friends who are all over the world, in the United States, in Asia, in Europe, and there are very tough times right now. A lot of people have sadly not made it. A lot of people have sadly been put out of work. You see record unemployment now in the United States, and I think you'll see that in a number of places. And no one's quite sure what's going to happen. And so for a lot of entrepreneurs, you are asking yourself, a lot of investors too, how am I going to deal with this? What's going to happen next? Now, I've talked about my perspective in the recent weeks of being at my core an optimist and knowing that long term we're going to push through this and we're all going to be okay. But what I wanted to share with you as a piece of inspiration was that we just went through the numbers. In March 2020, Nomad Capitalist had a financial record month by a margin of about 12%. So this January was our biggest month to date. Februaries are always a little lighter here. And in March, we actually surpassed all of our previous records for the month, and we actually wrapped up a great month to have a record quarter as well in the history of the company. Now, what does that mean? It means, number one, if you're in business, there are ways to go out and not only survive in these times, but thrive in these times. I mentioned previously how internet marketing experts like Frank Kern are saying now is the time to go out and advertise because fewer people are going to be able to advertise or going to have the stomach to advertise. Now is the time to go out and advertise your business. We've never been a big advertising business. We've dabbled in advertising a little bit. Mostly we've done organic blogs, 1,600 blog posts, 800, close to 800 videos here. We've had podcasts, we've had my book. So we've done a lot of stuff organically with a little bit of ads, but now's a great time to expand your business. And if you look at a lot of businesses historically, they are started or they expand during tough times. And so for us, this has been a great way to be introspective after months of just busy, no time to breathe. I mean, we had real estate master classes that I was doing full time for a couple days at a time. Then I would go and we had some high level people that I was meeting. Then I was just doing normal work. Then I'm just directing our team. This was a great time for us to get our affairs in order. And by doing that, we've gotten more organized. We've gotten some of the documents and the databases and the standard operating procedures that have been kind of sitting there that needed a refresh or needed some new ideas. We've been able to inject that. We've been strategizing a lot of things. And what that has done is really put us back in our game where, a lot of businesses have been doing very well just by being there. And so we've really dialed in on, okay, how can we improve? Let's revisit everything that we know about our business, about our customers, et cetera. And, how do we do even more of that? Part of that has been really, focusing on our opening up to people from lots of countries all around the world. Historically, we've worked with folks from the U.S. and Canada and Australia and the U.K., and we've really done very well with that. But what we found is folks in other countries want help with some of this stuff too, and we've taken these last few months to really understand some of those markets, really the last year or so to understand those markets and to dive into that. And so this time of introspection has led to that. Now, here's what it means for you. So I think there are two types of people out there that I've seen through this. First of all, there are people who are preparing, not panicking. A lot of people right now are panicking. And let me tell you, you can always find a way to justify panic. You can always find a way to justify panic. I remember early on in my business career, I've been doing this about 15 years now. And early on, I was running a pretty lean business in the broadcasting industry. And I'd have a good month. And then like the first or second day of the next month, I'd say, well, that's over. It's probably the best month I'll have. Maybe it'll all fall apart this month. And then I'd go on to do well. Not every month was bigger, but every year was bigger than the last. And I allowed myself to panic. I allowed myself to be negative. I allowed myself to see only the worst case scenario. And in doing that, some of the early stuff I did in business, it wasn't as big as it could have been or should have been. I look back now and I can see, oh, if I only would have done that, if I only would have felt differently, how much bigger could it have been? Now it all worked out fine. I was able to bank a bunch of money for the time I left the United States and start Nomad Capitalist and put energy into this and not have to make it into a business right away. But I allowed myself to panic back then. I allowed myself to be fearful. And if you allow yourself, you can find any reason. I've been an expert in my life at finding excuses, and that's what they are. They're not even really reasons. They are excuses to panic. Now, if you have an unsustainable business or an unsustainable investment strategy, then you are going to go through what Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you'll know who's skinny dipping. But if you have something of value, if you've created value, if you help people, if you have something people want, then you're going to be just fine. And so what I've seen through this is people who come to us, the numbers may be up 10%, down 10% in terms of actual volume of people who are interested. But the people who are coming right now are the ones who want to prepare. They're not panicked. They are telling us, they said, it's unfortunate. Some of them are maybe taking small hits, but they said, now's the time to do this because I have time. They're basically saying what I've told you, which is if you have the time, you're sitting at home, maybe things are a little slower, you got to reinvest that time. Don't sit around watching, some dumb TV show. Go out and develop yourself and use that as an opportunity. This is also an opportunity, from what I'm seeing, for people to put their money where their mouth is. And in times like this, I've said there's a sale on safe havens right now. Now you may see some asset prices go lower. I don't think real estate prices have really started to see the effects too much, but currencies have, some of them. And so you can go out, you can set up your second residence, your second passport, you can set up your offshore bank account where the minimum deposit is based in some other currency. You can go out and you can save anywhere from 5 to 35% right now. And those numbers change a little bit every day, but you can go out and get deals. And I think you will see in the coming months, by the time you go to buy the property that gets your second passport or whatever, you'll see some of those asset prices dwindling as well, at least temporarily, at least for a couple months. And so, people always talk about, hey, I don't want to overpay. I have a number of folks right now who, they're very smart. They said, I don't want to overpay for that passport. Let's find a better passport, even if I have to invest more. But they're putting their money where their mouth is. I've got people right now who want to invest some of the millions of dollars in things like getting passports because they realize, in some cases, it's a lot cheaper than it was a few months ago. People say, buy when things are down. Now, I know there's some people out there that they think the stock market's going to go to -3. We don't really talk about the stock market here. I'm in the stock market a little bit, but we don't really talk about the stock market that much. We're talking about creating your offshore strategy. And so I know some folks think the stock market's going to go to -3. Even if it does, eventually it'll come back. Eventually the economy will come back if you look throughout history. It's just who I am. And I'm an entrepreneur. I can't get into the doom and gloom as much as I try. I always come back to we're going to be okay. But if you can take advantage of a temporary sale, that's the people that I'm seeing coming in. These are people who are successful, and they know that they need this stuff. And they're seeing that people are locked down in their homes, locked down in their countries, unable to travel, and they say, you know what, now is my time for a safe haven. What really it is beyond just a sale is an awakening. And I think that what I've seen, what's been interesting over the years is, those of us who are from the Western world, we're used to going out and buying whatever we want, whenever we want. And we've seen recently, people in places like the United States fighting over toilet paper at the Costco because the shelves have been bare. And, what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot more people in emerging countries that have been on the sidelines jump in and get their second passport, jump in and buy that property overseas as a safe haven, because that's the nature. They've seen this stuff. I saw something on Instagram this morning where basically the guy from the West was talking about like how unfortunate it is to have to wait in line at the grocery store and there's shortages and they check you before you go in and then they had the person that, I think this was one of my friends from Georgia. They said, ex-communist countries. Oh yeah, first time? And it is the first time for a lot of people to see, what it's like to have scarcity. You are going to see, I think, you're not going to see necessarily a lot more citizenship programs. You're not going to see a lot of new opportunities. You'll see some potential that may have been coming down the pike eventually anyway. But you're going to see a lot of people who this is going to shake into realizing, they want to get their safe havens in place. What people who are coming to me are doing is they're saying, now is the time to do that. And that is why we have more people who are coming right now, and they want to do bigger projects. People who I imagine 6 months ago were not so concerned about having a second passport. Now we have people who are more defensive. We're seeing people who are running successful businesses who are trying to put in some defensive strategies. We're also seeing people who have great wealth who are saying, I don't want to lower my taxes, but I do want to have a safe haven. And if you're saying it's a discount right now, then let's do it. And so that's what has led to this great month. I want to do this to inspire you. You do not have to sit down and play dead and just imagine you've got to sit through this whole quarantine process or a whole economic dip not selling anything. As I've told you before, I worked through the Great Recession. That was my first big lull in business, but every year did better than the last. Part of it was just by going out and putting in an effort every day. Part of it was by working smarter. Part of it was by continually focusing on how to create more value. That is the message of hope that I want to give to those of you out there who are value creators, is you can thrive in these times. You can adapt and you can thrive. And I think that adaptation with the stuff that we talked about at Nomad Capitalist is going to be especially important, because you can run your business from anywhere. You can store your money anywhere. You can be anywhere, and having more freedoms to do that is going to be important. I think that's the people who are coming to me right now are saying. For them, it's business as usual because they realize that things will come back. They will be more prepared at the end of it. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.